Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Create Expectations. I'm here with Lifter Unit Sarah. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
My
I,
beard is itchy as always.
uh, I don't feel super motion sick as of yet.
But good. Well, there's don't don't give up on it yet. You might still get there.
Hopefully not for another week.
Right. You know what? Actually, so that's a frustrating thing that's happening with the raid. People are getting motion sick because of raid moving and stuff. One thing someone was saying was if they put it on 1x, it's not
Hmm.
nearly as bad for them.
I did try that and it was slightly better. It still moved pretty fast though, even on 1x. I was like, okay. And then I also was kind of like, do you do it on 1x and it'd be slightly better, or do you just do the raid on 4 times and hope you can get power through it really quickly?
Just escalate things. You're like, if there's a 32x button, I would need it,
Right.
but I'll get really sick during while I'm doing it. Like it's just like a risk reward, high risk, high reward thing.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Have you been autoing things?
No, I was going to, and then I didn't. So, yeah, I just stare at the buttons and hope that I don't have to look anywhere else on the screen.
You know what I just noticed on your screen?
Oh no,
That you're not hoarding double drops for mods.
it's fine. I was going to,
Uh,
and then I was like, ah.
I was gonna ask you how that what was that again, but I didn't want to listen to it again. So
I'll refresh. I just don't really feel like hoarding for them.
so sad. It's
Fine.
sad. That's fine. You could buy any mod you want.
I'm hoarding on Professor X.
Yay! Thank you.
So there you go. I'm doing it on one account.
You know what? You know what I ran out of for mods the other day? I on Professor X.
Mm.
I don't have any offense mods at all, like offense set.
So I should farm that.
I mean, I've been farming them myself when I get on there, so you don't have to touch the vile things.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Uh,
No,
but
I
usually
was like,
when it's
I need a square with some speed on it, and I have no squares, no offense squares at all.
but
What
correct
were
me
you
if
gonna
I'm
say?
wrong. Usually
Hmm.
when it's double drops, it's not the actual mod like challenges that dropped up, like the ones that drop the mods, it's the battles, right? Like the slicing materials and stuff.
Pretty much every time, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I don't know why they don't give you double mods.
Probably because they know we'll keep complaining about how low the mod cap is.
Hmm. I guess.
That's
Do you
my
complain
guess.
about it?
Well, I think it's a little bit low considering how many characters we've gotten in game now
It is kind
versus
of
when it
funny.
started.
They're like, yeah, we couldn't possibly store that many. I'm like, you we're storing that many, but like back when you used to make that excuse if we couldn't store that many, we've added so many characters that since then that we're now storing that many just on characters.
Right, right. Well, okay, so what was it, like 2 weeks ago, I sold a whole bunch of mods and I made like 150 or 175 like spots available in my mod inventory whenever that was. I'm already back to the mod cap.
Yeah, I mean it's a constant battle. I feel like I remember my dad used to fly me out to Washington to my grandma's place because it's like this huge property, and it was every year like we just had these like really hardcore like metal bladed weed whacker things, and we'd just go we'd just spend like 3 days killing blackberry bushes because they were just overrunning the
Hmm.
property. Like they're I mean, like you could just stop for a while and just snack on some blackberries, and then just continue just to murder the hell out of those things. And like you don't think of them as invasive, but yeah, it's like a whole thing in certain parts of the world. Those bushes will take over if you let them, and it feels a little bit like mods can do that too. You're like, wow, I have overgrown my entire account with mods. I don't know what the hell to do with them.
I feel like I need to do another purge, and I just did one.
Hmm. You're probably not being picky enough.
I thought I was being decently picky, and I guess I need to be pickier. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find more criteria.
Well, so when you went through and got rid of them, did
Yeah.
you also go through your characters and get rid of the ones that were already on your characters? Like you do the mod locker thing, you call it.
I did a good chunk. I did the ones that had all flat secondaries. I got rid of all of those off of my characters, unless they had like good speed. Um,
Right, like the good flat secondary. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. By good speed, I mean like if they were over 25, I kept it. Um, and then I need to go through and purge the less than 8 or less, yeah, the 8 or 9 uh as my new barometer for speed.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, it's funny when you look at my accounts. Like what you'll find if at the very low, like if you sort by speed, you'll
Hmm.
find a bunch of mods that are like +8, +9, +10
Hmm.
speed, but they all have really really intriguing secondaries. And then once you get to like the 11 and 12 speed plus speeds on those accounts, they stop being so intriguing because the criteria has changed, and it's I've just kept them because they were fast.
Right. I think what I also need to do next is see which mods I have that are blue, that I have at level 12 or 15 or whichever that have 3 speed, because even if speed slices, when I slice it to purple, it's not going to be a 10 speed mod.
Oh, like you keep mods that have 3 speed on them?
Well, sometimes when they're like green,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll do that too. I typically I'll upgrade them that day, but no, I'm
sometimes
sure I can
I'm
find
just
a couple of
lazy.
those. Yeah, I mean, I get it, and it's modding, and we're talking about modding when there's so much stuff to
I know.
talk about in the game.
Switch gears.
Cool. So, yeah, let's talk about Datacrons. Just kidding.
What?
You, your what of like betrayal was so perfect there. Wait, I thought we were going to talk about something I enjoyed.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like the raid? No. Uh,
How do you like the raid? So you are getting sickness. You're not getting sickness. You said you're not sick, but then you were complaining about how you get sick. So
I
which one
am
is it?
I am getting motion sick.
You are
I'm
getting motion
getting
sick.
I'm not getting like crazy nauseous for it. It's just that as soon as I look at it, can feel my eyes strain and like the headache just starts from staring at it.
Hmm.
It's just like this intense like pressure behind my eyeballs.
I'm sorry. You have to experience said
So
pressure.
I'm hopeful that they will change it because I'm used to doing my raid runs immediate like how crate happened, where I would get tagged in the last 24 hours and then I would do them all in the 20-minute period and it would be fine. And I feel like with
Sounds
this
fine.
one, totally. I feel like with this one I'm gonna need to take like breaks.
So I apparently just didn't read close enough. I thought that they were giving us a full 6 days to
No.
participate in the raid. Instead, we're just taking 3 days off and then 3 days on. I mean, which is fine. It's still preferable to the madness of 3 day crate. But like I'm really enjoying the break on my main account. But I just for some reason I thought we'd have full 6 days. I was like, oh, this is like two on one day, two on another one, and then just one
Hmm.
on each other day. Like you could just leisurely get through it, or you could just go knock them all out and you have a full week off. Which I mean, that is the case right now. So
Right. Did it make you sick?
no, I no, I'm fine. Um,
Lucky.
honestly, I don't want this to be a thing. I feel frustrated that I don't know. There were. I'm also curious how many people are just saying they're feeling nauseous because they're like, yeah, let's just like shame CG. But I mean, I think it's a legitimate problem,
Hmm.
and I struggle with it. I'm like, well, how many people really like just spent a long time doing this? Like, was it just like
Right.
a couple of their developers, and that they just happened to not be motion sick at all?
Right. Instead of having like theoretically the whole office try it.
Or I mean, you could probably play the mode, like what, just test the mechanics of it without having the background, you know, running
Right.
as
Yeah,
well.
that's a good point too. Uh, I would
But
like that version.
it seems like I mean I don't know. It seems like that should be just a button that you could push. Just take away the motion.
Or
But
just slow it down, like real slow.
okay, so
Like
what
snail pace.
do you have snails in Canada? Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
we do.
Okay, I was just wondering if that was a thing. Okay, so
Moving on.
um, what do you think
Mhm.
about C3PO in the raid?
Mhm.
Should we be
Mhm.
allowed to use him on all 8 runs if we want to? If we want to spend the time for it?
Um, so I'm torn because theoretically, in his kit, he escapes, right? And like this has been a thing in other raids. Not even just his kit, but like the other like there were in the pit raid and the tank raid, they built in that escape button where you could try to like have your characters
I
escape.
mean, you can't
Um
take the precedent from that long ago. You're right
and
that there used to be.
but let's just go there and then you've got C3PO, even like when Challenge Pit was a thing, I remember taking in Hermit Yoda and having him escape and use him again. Um, so it is there that you could do it. The counter to like the other side of that argument is that, and I wasn't looking at it this way until someone pointed it out, so kudos to them. But theoretically, like all of the abilities that the characters have changed. So his unique theoretically shouldn't apply because his unique isn't his unique anymore, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, they're like, hey, he doesn't do. Why does he escape? Because he can't fight. What is he doing though?
he's fighting.
He's
Exactly.
fighting. He's damaging.
Yeah. So theoretically, like, no, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to take advantage of it while it's there.
Sure. Well, this is one of those things where I think people should take advantage for as long as it exists if they want to, because it's not hurting
Totally.
anyone. It's not. It's different than. I mean, we talked about a little bit on the Gambit, but like when I don't know if how interested you were in this, but there was that bug where if you attacked a team with Second Sister in GAC,
Yeah. And it's
you
soft
just
locked.
yeah, so you just couldn't clear the team.
Hmm.
And then there was this huge debate across a few different Discord servers about like kind of the ethics of if you should be allowed to. Oh yeah, well it exists in the game. It's CG's fault that it exists. So I'm just gonna play Second Sister and auto win against my opponent.
Right.
Like should you be allowed to do that or not? Like to me, they're two totally different things. Like one is you're hurting someone else, kind of in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
This one though, it's just use it until it's gone, if you want to. I did it a couple times,
Hmm.
and then my C3PO died, and I was like, I don't want to retry this, so I just kept it.
Yeah. And you're just like, whatever. And I mean, I think the other thing that people are really focusing on and forgetting is that the whole point of it being a cheese is that he escapes, right? And like you can use him again, and he's a high relic character required
Hmm.
elsewhere, so it works really well for all of your like high scoring teams sort of thing. there
Hmm.
are other characters in the raid that are going to be able to do the same thing for as C3PO. So even if they do fix it, we will be able to pull off the same thing. You're just going to have to invest in more characters to keep your score where it is now or higher. Um, so what I'm personally doing is like, yeah, I'm going to abuse it, and my first plan, as soon as they say if they say that they are going to change it, is to invest in characters in the raid that are going to let me do the same tactic. So I can use C3PO on one team and use whichever other character it happens to be, or characters, I should say, that it happens to be that let me do the same thing over and over again. But instead of it being C3PO, it's them.
Sure.
I don't see an issue. Not yet, at least.
No, I think my biggest issue is why give smaller accounts hope. Like to me, like
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
think that sucks because you have to think that there are a lot of people who've been like, oh my gosh, I can actually get a decent score in this raid because I just
Mhm.
happen to have C3PO at a decent relic level, or like he's within reaching scrape, like you can unlock him fairly
Mhm.
easily. Like I mean, you have to farm Ewoks and blah blah blah. It's not like just right away immediately easy, but you can get there, and then you can just get one character relic and he counts as half of your damage basically.
Right.
I mean, that's I think that would just suck to give someone that hope, and you're like, actually you can get one run with him.
Right.
Have fun. And I think he looks dumb on a speeder bike anyways, so
I
I mean,
am
I just think he
curious.
looks dumb, period.
I am curious how this got missed. Like, because it's not hard to have him escape.
Right.
So I'm just was it one of those things like the only thing I can logically think of is while they were trying the raid, they didn't actually submit the scores.
I mean, maybe. I think there's also the possibility that they just missed it because this is one of those things that if it so even if they are testing a lot, I think that they just have a limited number of runs that they can observe, and they're
Hmm.
trying to figure out. I mean, they have other things to be paying attention to, like all the different, there's four different types of damage that you have, and you
Yeah.
have the jam mechanic, and you have all this different stuff that they're trying to make sure is working. And I mean, that probably seemed pretty normal for C3PO to just escape, and they
Right.
just
Or
didn't, and they weren't looking at it and with the lights with the lenses of like, oh, I'm gonna try to cheese this.
or maybe like not every character was used in the testing and he just happened to be left out.
That could be. I mean, that's something I would just miss probably if I'm looking at all these other factors. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I guess I could just see how it would work, and then you show it to 400,000 people, and someone notices it in a few. Like, I mean, to me, this is. I'm not too worried about them missing this. There are a lot of other more egregious things that I'm like. So this didn't work at all. Like what happened with testing? Like
Right.
at, at least with him, this is like he's been doing this. That this is part of his kit. This is what C3PO does. Easy to miss. I don't see an issue with it. I just feel bad for people who get their hopes up.
Yeah, because there have been I've seen my fair share of people commenting about how, their guild was barely getting the 25 million box or whichever box it was in crate, and now they're
Hmm.
soaring past like way, way past and doing so well in this raid. Um, and I think a little bit of it's a little twofold. Like, yes, this is obviously a contributing factor, but I actually do think that the characters in this raid are considerably more approachable than the crate dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this is the mechanics are so easy, anyways. Like as
Right.
long as like you just say you're like okay, just don't push the middle button. Like go
I
nice.
know. I had a couple in our officer chat. We were talking about it and just kind of going over what teams we were using and stuff like that. And one of our officers was like, "Okay, what's the like the trick here for this team?" And I was like, "Literally just spam the far right ability and the basic. Ignore middle."
Yep, that's what it is, man. It's so weird. Whatever. I'm not that concerned about. I think it honestly it seems like an okay raid. There's a lot of auto options for
Hmm.
people who don't want to do it or just can't do it because of the motion sickness thing. Um, I'm okay with that. I think my biggest gripe about this is I hate that they change like they CG gets accused of this a lot and they have to do it, but like they move the goalposts, right?
Right.
Like instead of requiring, oh yeah, sometime we're just gonna require like relic threes for this. Oh, sorry guys, now and at this next one a year later we're requiring relic five for this. Like they move the goalpost, they make things more difficult to get and all of that, and I think that's necessary for a game like this. The thing that drives me nuts though is usually if they're moving the goalpost for something, they usually give us some kind of like incentive to do it
Right.
that isn't just like, if you don't do this, you're just gonna be totally effed.
Hmm.
Like it's just a very negative consequence of no, you can't do the old thing. Like shut the hell up. Like you can't get the cool thing. Like the old thing sucks now. Like you can't do you can't do a damn thing if you get the old thing. So you have to farm all this stuff just to be able to maintain your same old level of income.
Hmm.
And at least when a new raid came out, it was like, okay, all right, we're getting the Sith Triumvirate raid. This is going to be way tougher. And it was. And you had to learn new mechanics. And you
Hmm.
had to farm new teams and new characters. Same thing as this thing, as this raid. However, at least with the Sith raid, you got some different kinds of currency. Maybe I'd forget if you get more currency, but at least you have Treya to unlock.
Right. Whereas with this, the only thing that's happening is you're getting your Mark III currency.
Right, but you're getting the same amount of Mark III. It's not like, oh hey,
Right.
the new raid is coming out. I'm gonna make more raid three, or Mark III. It's oh, I hope me and my guild can adapt to this fast enough to maintain a similar level of Mark III income.
Hmm. And I'm curious about this because I know like for our guild, we've adapted, we're maintaining the same level. Um, I'm curious, and we are, I mean, this, I think most people know this, we're in an end game guild. So that is something that I would expect in an end game guild. What's the expectation for a mid game level guild? Like, are you supposed to try to adapt to this for two raid runs a month and then get back to where you were? And then, you know, do you push forward? Like, what's the next step from there? Um,
You can take a pretty sizable dip in your total production, frankly.
right,
For a lot of guilds, that's what it's gonna. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any Mark III anymore.
right, because you've dipped down.
You don't have the right teams. So screw you guys.
Hmm.
At least you're getting a new character unlock. Not. Go F yourselves. Sorry. I just it bugs me. Like
Hmm.
what if they made me do that at my job? Like I just try to think of it in a professional setting of like, okay, I do this thing and if I get promoted, then it's a similar thing. It's going to be doing different stuff, but at least, it's in the same but like with this raid,
Hmm.
it's completely different mechanics.
Yeah.
Like there's the damage type is different. Like everything is totally different, and it's a moving screen. So maybe I'll just get motion sickness and can't actually do it. And even if I can, at like what I might not have the characters to be able to do it. I might not be able to like. To me, that and what am I trying to do? It's not like I'm trying to earn more stuff.
Hmm.
It's just like hey, like you have to do something totally different.
I think what a lot of people are going to do moving forward and maybe should do, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, when they announced that this raid was coming, we like the officers in our guild, we were talking about pushing for the next boxing crate, and we were going to wait until the end of summer to make an announcement to be like, okay, like we've settled in, we took the summer off, we chilled in the summer, let's go for the next box. And then they announced this raid was coming at some time at the end of the year. And immediately the officers were like, there is no point pushing for the next box because we have to switch targets. So there's no point. Everyone should just coast and hoard. We know that this raid is good for 8 to 9 months. They've told us that that's the expected shelf life. So it's going to last sometime into summer, end of summer.
Start of summerish, yeah.
I would think
Or
that
end of summer, sure.
probably 3 months before the end of it, I would consider stop investing. If you're in a guild that's going to move to the next raid, stop investing in characters in this raid. Start your horde for the characters that are going to go into the next raid.
I'm probably gonna stop investing like pretty soon.
Like I I I've been hoarding for a while. I mean, the only thing that I put gear on really was the Leia requirements and Leia. I've toyed around with whether or not I should do Afra, but regardless,
You're not very close.
I'm not very close. But I've got a stash just waiting so that I can take characters up that are required in the raid, whether it's higher relics or give them gear or whatever the case may be. And I took all of the characters that I didn't already have at gear 12 for the raid to gear 12 so that at that point I could see which ones are the like best bang for your buck kind of thing in terms of investment once all of the squad comps were figured out and everything. Gear those ones, put them to relics first, invest as soon as possible so I can get the most return right away over the next 8 to 9 months.
Cool.
I don't know. That's
It's
my
probably
soapbox.
good. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I'll complain about this, and I mean, I'm already adapting to it, and I'm making videos about it and learning how to do it. I just, I don't know. It just kind of grinds my gears. I wish that they had given us some kind of better incentive, other than it, like to tie it back to a job again. Like, well, do this. You know, at least you're not getting fired.
Right. You
Well,
need to
great,
keep
but
getting
now,
paid, so do this now.
right? But
Yeah.
okay, but this isn't even what I signed on for in the first place. So,
Right.
anyways, I think the new raid seems okay. Other than the motion sickness thing, which I think they'll address that. Honestly, I
I
don't
think
know
they
when.
I
It
think they will too.
seems like they kind of have to. But and hopefully they just give a toggle or something. And anyways, let's do a trigger photo and get over to your channel already.
All
We
right.
just spent all our time whining about the raid. It's great.
We weren't whining, sort of.
I mean, I was, so you know.
All right. Well, you spent all your time whining about the raid.
Right, but you were with me, so we were doing it.
What's our trigger photo?
Me just talking smack to you just now. Okay, so this one made me laugh. All the names have been stricken, so we can just mock this person endlessly. And honestly, it's not even a thing to mock them for, really. But I just thought it was funny. So this is someone getting called out for their not doing enough damage on the crate raid, and they're like, all I can do is 300,000 damage per battle. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And they're like, are you adjusting the difficulty level? And the guy just didn't know that you could actually have a more difficult fight than the bare minimum.
This is, I will say, and regardless of what level of guild you're in or whatever, it's all over the board. It's in end game guilds too. There are a lot of people that just don't read.
They just don't pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I can get it on some levels. Like, if you're not interested in the raid and you're like, gosh,
Right.
I have to do this raid, and they're gonna yell at me if I don't just do some hits. Like, sure, I'll just like throw some random hapless characters together and let's just get this over with. And don't give it any more thought. I could understand that. It's still, as a competitive player, like I mean, yeah, for me, I'm typically, if I'm gonna take time to do something, I want to do it well. and this screams a little bit differently, I guess. It screams as loudly and as you know, just as much as possible that they're apathetic. Like this screams apathy somehow. I'm trying to find a word that's like less active than screaming, because apathy is
Mhm.
not, but anyways, just makes me laugh. No true shade on this person. I like to do things well when I do them, except for talking.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to show you guys. It was really just a demonstration of my lack thereof. So we're gonna go to Sarah's channel, and hopefully I'll have learned more words by then. And there should be a link below us at some point here.
Hmm.
But if you don't want to go there, if you don't want to click on that, if you want to go the non-lazy route, I guess you could click on the link in the video description, and we'll talk about. Apparently, one of my patrons is getting roasted today.
Yes, they
Yeah,
are.
yeah, and we have to talk about stupid 3PO. So we'll see you guys over there. Part 2.